two last examples for you here today. You'll remember that earlier we talked about two different types of decimals. Terminating decimals are decimals that have a stopping point, and repeating decimals don't have a stopping point, but you start to see a pattern in their expanded form. So the way you'll find these is you'll use your calculator and you'll type in the fraction as division. So for example, instead of 3/4, you'd type in 3 divided by 4, and it will become a decimal. So 3/8, if you type 3 divided by 8 into your calculator, you're going to get 0.375 exactly. So that's terminating. There's nothing after the 5. Whereas if you were to type in 5/11ths, you'd get 0.45454545. So you'll see the pattern with the 4/5 repeating, and the way we notate that is we put this bar on top of it. Recall that decimals that can be written this way, as either terminating or repeating, are both types of rational numbers, and the ones that can't be written this way are irrational. For our last example in this section, we want to look at some numbers, some of which are rational and some are irrational, and we want to put them on a number line. Remember from earlier, we mentioned that it's easiest to turn all of your numbers into decimals so that you can compare them. So each of these 4 values we're going to put into our calculator and then find the decimal approximation. So the square root of 1.44, when we put that in our calculator, we get exactly 1.2. Pi, we know, is irrational, so the decimal doesn't terminate and there's no pattern in it, but it's about 3.14159. And the square root of 2 is also irrational. It's about 1.414. And the square root of 9 is exactly 3, so that one's rational. So when we go to compare these, none of these are negative, so we're not going to have anything to the left of 0. They're all positive. I usually like to put the whole numbers on first, so 3, the square root of 9, is exactly 3, so I put my point at 3. Now the other ones are all pretty close to each other. 1.2 and 1.4 are pretty close to each other, and 1.2, if we go to that 10th place, is just a little bit smaller than the 1.4 if we go to that 10th place. So 1.2 is a little bit smaller, and therefore it's a slightly to the left of 1.4. which was our square root of 2. Now the pi, that one was really close to 3. It's 3.14159, so that means it's just a little bit bigger than 3, which means we put our point just a little bit to the right of 3. That's where pi was. The number lines come in handy because if we were asked to rewrite these numbers from smallest to largest, or in other words increasing order, once they're on our number line, we would just read them from left to right.